Nobody buena, buena. Nobody buena, 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 buena. Nobody buena, 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 buena. Nobody buena, pamporo, no chiva de musete. Akaume kampali, ni kakwini chikona paluino. Akaume kampali, ni kakwini chikona paluino. Alaya no kukokilisha chiva de musete. Deandale kwana Mario Musuma. Deandale kwana Mario Musuma. Deandale pyogo sakachibale musete. Chibale musete, chibale musete, musete, mutwale kwana kole. Chibale musete, musete, mutwale kwana kole. Aya peshi ya tamana chibale musete. Io la giubile, già como no sabía. Io la giubile, già como no sabía. Si no usano pago ya casi no mina, la fama, si baby. Si no usano pago ya casi no mina, la fama, si baby. Nobody buena, buena. Nobody buena, 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 buena. Nobody buena, 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 buena. Nobody buena, pamporo, no chivale musete. Akaume kampali, ni kakwini chikona paluino. Akaume kampali, ni kakwini chikona paluino. Alaya no kukokilisha chivale musete. Deandale kwana Mario Musuma. Deandale kwana Mario Musuma. Deandale pyogo sakachibale musete. Chibale musete, chibale musete, musete, mutwale kwana kore. Chibale musete, musete, mutwale kwana kore. Aya peshi ya tamana chibale musete.
Hello, hello. Good evening. We are aware that Chiwempala time right now is about 22:40, and it will be getting to 23 hours. But we had something to to talk about tonight in a very, very informal way with our friends, with our TVBAKWETU crew here. And I have Mr. Patrick Chilufya. Mr. Chilufya, welcome.
Thank you, Amusha, and all the viewers, welcome.
Right. So we do have several things to talk about, and so I'm going to just be monitoring comments here because we want to weave through several topics and try to calm some situations down, because it appears like people are quite angry, and in a time like this, we need to just try to calm people down. I think that might help. I wonder why people are so animated. A lot of fake news out there. And one of the things that make fake news much more difficult is it's a mix of a little bit of truth, but then it exaggerates, giving the impression that someone is in trouble, someone is not doing their job properly, somebody is not advising the president properly, or things like that. And so in the midst of all this confusion, it becomes difficult to tell what is true and what is not true. So we just want to discuss a little bit about particularly the recent appointments. Some of the appointees are, of course, our friends, and we are very excited about that. But there are some that, as many people are thinking, they are controversial, and so we just want to clarify a little bit about that. The other thing, Mr. Patrick Chilufya, is the interview I had yesterday with Honorable Mwali Teta.
Oh my goodness, you're such an idiot.
It still is very, very interesting, in the sense that we've got to think about what is really going on there. But not only that, we've also got to reflect on how that interview went. It was very, very interesting. It was it's very interesting, and so I just want to reflect on that a little bit. I just want to reflect on that interview a little bit and see what it is, and see what it is. Mr. Chilufya, I think, is experiencing a little bit of a network issue there, but we'll bring him back as soon as it is resolved. Okay, so make some comments. Let me know what you have to say, and we're going to start with this one. Kajila Mutaipi is saying that the Mwambapeni appointment, and so there are some that are quite concerned at that appointment, and the question is why. Okay, so let me post this, and then if you can come on, please do come on and say why you think this is a problem, right? Come on and say why you think this is a problem. From my own perspective, I look at it, and there could be several reasons why somebody might say it's not a very good appointment or anything like that. But why would somebody have such passionate resistance? That's very important for us to find out. Okay, Vachilufya.
Yes, Mamusha. Yeah. I've seen a lot. It's gone viral on the internet since his appointment.
Right.
But as you've said, Mamusha, there is a lot of misinformation and exaggeration, because all the people who have posted, they've sent me WhatsApp messages. It looks like that happened 6-7 years ago.
Right.
2016. And
Yeah.
if it happened 2016, people have, he must have left PF and joined UPND. And the president cannot just appoint anybody. The HH we know only appoints people on merit. And that guy worked in the government. He was in the civil service. He was fired by Lungu, and then he has come back. And not only that, Bamusha, between 2016 and 2021 is the period most of us joined UPND. So
Right.
if I was a PF in 2015 or 2016, and then I joined UPND in 2017, can somebody come and say I was insulting HH in 2016?
Right.
That's the past. So
yeah, you make a very interesting observation there, Chilufya, because what you are saying is that so there was this growth, right, between 2016 and 2021 that went in the direction of the United Party for National Development. In fact, that is how they won the election. It was because of this mass support that drains from the PF. So it's a mix of both the support that was drained from the Patriotic Front and the new support from young people who were first-time voters. And so the thing is, it becomes extremely difficult to judge a person's fitness for the UPND on the basis of what they did in 2016. I think I agree with you on that one, unless if somebody indeed has other ideas.
There's another point Vamusha wanted to make. Like myself, prior to 2016, I was UPND, I was MMD.
Right.
I supported MMD from 1991. And then when SATA came in, I didn't support SATA. But when Edgar Lungu was brought in, I had some soft spot for Edgar Lungu, because he was a lawyer, and I also remembered how Mwanawasa wrote. But I never supported PF, but I had some soft spots. So if somebody can go to my Facebook in 2016, they will see my postings, which were soft about Lungu.
Right.
But then officially I became UPND 2017, 2018.
Right.
Then can somebody go and pick up a post that I posted about Lungu in 2016, 15? And I say, and then they will say Patrick is a UPND, is a PF. He shouldn't be a member of the UPND. And Wamush, as you mentioned, you alluded to, there was a movement.
Right.
I can say UPND wouldn't have won the election without that movement. Yeah. I know hundreds and thousands of people who were PF and MMD who migrated into UPND, and it became a very powerful movement.
Right.
So many people joined, and even some of the people who were appointed, I don't want to mention their names. I was the one who was telling them, please leave PF and join UPND. And they've been appointed now. So you cannot start going back to the past and say this one was posting bad things about HH, then he shouldn't be appointed. He's been appointed on merit.
Yeah. We need to be very clear, of course, and acknowledge that, yes, this particular gentleman, personally, we in fact differed a little bit, and I think we blocked each other. And he has blocked several people because of the differences that we had around 2016, particularly after Lungu won in 2015. Some of us were a little bit hopeful in 2015 that he was going to bring some changes, and we were disappointed very early. But this gentleman continued on supporting, but he also realized, like I did, very, very quickly, that there was nothing in the Patriotic Front. And I think they differed with the government that was then, and you got fired from the PF government. And at that time, he became a sympathizer of the United Party for National Development. I think that is what happened. And so I wouldn't judge him on the basis of the postings he did in 2015 or 2016. Yeah. But Patrick.
Can I pass to Vahimba? We've got Vahimba already here.
Vahimba, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Vamusha, and good evening, BAKWETU team. Good evening, Patrick.
Yeah, and so Vahimba, I know that you've been a member of the UPND for a very long time. Are new members welcome? The ones who joined in 2016?
Vamusha, new members are more than welcome. Actually, at the moment, we are not going to call them new members. They are members. They've been from 2016. It's quite a long time for somebody to belong to a family. And for us to call them new members, I think would be a little bit unrealistic. Right. And one thing we also have to appreciate is UPND, ngatwaikele fweba UPND fweka. We're not going to win the elections. There are people who worked underground. We needed information from the PF inside. And these people to work and to bring that information for us to plan ahead of PF, we needed people who would wear the PF jacket well inside their UPND. We needed the watermelon guys. And I don't think the president is going to come out and say, no, Munsha was watermelon, no, Patrick was watermelon police. We needed these people underground. So one thing we also have to understand as UPND, that there are people who work like that. There are people who contributed silently, but they contributed so much to the party, and we really have to appreciate and welcome them to the party. I don't think we are going to be right for us as members to be justifying every appointment that is made by the president. I'm sure they've done the right research, they've investigated, they've gathered all the information. I don't think they can be that naive to just point somebody without investigating or digging information about them.
Yeah, and the thing is, these are not people that are just coming into the movement like yesterday, right? This is a guy who in 2016, of course, he had his own views, but I think he changed, and he was more sympathetic, and he was offering his own pieces of advice to the movement. And so I do realize that some of our colleagues are pretty angry, and I think I share with their anger, and I sympathize greatly with their anger. But guys, we need to look at this and think, this gentleman. Now, some are saying that it's the poison that he posted in 2016 and 2015. Of course, there is no justification for that poison. Obviously, no justification. But there were several other UPND members today who were equally in opposition. Even the gentleman we were interviewing yesterday, Obvious Molite, wasn't Molite part of the, was it the Mwanawasa or the Rupia Banda? When did Molite leave?
Was in MMD,
Mwanawasa.
and then he moved in Mwanawasa, and then he moved to PF, and then UPND.
Right. Yeah. And who else? Sylvia Masebo, the same. In fact, Sylvia Masebo is famous for saying some very, very colorful words against HH.
But Musha, if I can cut you short, we had the alliance partners who just joined a few months before the elections, and they were appointed they've been appointed as ministers and permanent secretaries. So can we say they shouldn't be appointed because they only joined a few months ago?
Yeah. So, nevertheless, I think that's where we need to look at it. I do think that there is a certain strength in a president appointing even those that were very much directly opposed to him in the past. It's there's a certain strength, and if we insist that he can't try to cross over that, it becomes very, very tricky to govern. To govern a nation such as Zambia. And we are, you our TVBAKWETU listeners, you know very well where I stand on the fact that aba wina my elections ebateka. That is true. Nomba, mulya mwine mukuteka mulya, kubika mu umo nangu babiri nangu batatu. That might have been completely opposed to you. Ekuteka. You know, ekuteka. Wakwata kuka in a complex country like Zambia, ufiro wakwata kotuma otuma things tumo. Tuwakwebati, ulemoneka ko slightly balanced, even when you are not. For example, when you look at all the appointments that the president has made, they're very political appointments. This is what people are trying to they're extremely political appointments. And they are political appointments that are very heavily tilted towards the general membership of the UPND. And in fact, that's one of the arguments that I had very early on in the administration. Mr. President, quickly appoint the UPND. Quickly appoint there is nothing wrong with the UPND, with the UPND cadres. They are trained, they are great, and the president has responded, went on, appointed several. In addition to all these wonderful appointments, that might have appeared to have been belonging to a very different political spectrum. I think it will be a huge disservice if we try to hang the president on this one appointment. I think so. Now, I know that some people might have a very different view on this, and I'm willing to learn from you guys. What is the big deal here? The alliance partners, it's the same story. In fact, the alliance partners, as soon as 1 month before the election, before the nominations, in fact, one of the alliance partners nokukana sana okumweba ati umfwa echechi nokukana sana evere who is echechi lelo they are serving in the government of the New Dawn, and it's all forgiven, and that's what it means to govern. Sometimes you govern absolutely with everybody. Nomba kuvika mo mwe bantu beso iro twalandira tiyo ni bantu beso bafuire okwingira. It's true naingishamu abantu beso kateka ebeswire pali kokola ko, and we were concerned uko bati pakokola, but afterwards kutuwamona ati uyu nomba kubika moba mo, you know, because it's very important for strategic purposes. Everybody has done it. Michael Sata did it, Chiluba did it, when Chiluba was forming his cabinet, tumonabona kalimo yonse ile cabinet yakwa Chiluba was full of Democrats and MMD people. No. Bambiaba imini, like Michael Sata jumped and became MMD within days. Michael Sata was not a long-term MMD member. Abananko bali fumine mu yunipu wangu. Michael Sata pali kokwere. Yo Michael Sata ishire fumafie kwati convention ile ya palamina. Ero nombasa ingira mu MMD. When they formed government a few months later, he was a minister. And so we do not need to distort the picture of the UPND. The UPND is not short of its people. It has, and in fact, the president has appointed quite a good number, and is still appointing. But we can't hang on to just this one. Some are saying, alleging all sorts of things. So I think it's quite unfair. And social media is very easy to plant stories. Like Avena Lawrence Mwananyanda, very, very distinguished people that have saved you, that have saved the party. Ukumonama articles there about abantu bamba kokulanda Mwananyandefi. It's, you know, it betrays the revolution. Sometimes kamwabomba na abantu wino, kulabati after mwakwata revolution ebaka sonso ife barera ndoko bati kulabati mwamba kokula ichita point ukula ishuta mwebene mweka. You know, what happened here was a very big revolution. Let us not allow infighting, you know, uyifi fimonaifa kubati ngawaberenga fiwamonati this is fiavufi, you know. So to those that are very close to the president, you can have objections, for example, but you don't like the way the advisors are, who the advisors are. It's okay. Nomboku ya mkulanda, these advisors are killers, these advisors are murderers, these advisors are shani. It really betrays the revolution. You know, it really does that. I still believe in this revolution, and as TVBAKWETU, we told you that tukesa mieba ngachakutere fintu fyambo kulubana. And indeed, immediately after the election, we wished these things had moved a little bit faster. Right here on TVBAKWETU. Tatua mifishire hiyo. You know? The entire structure of the government was still PF. We had several concerns about it. We talked about it right here on TVBAKWETU. Number structure yambo kuchinja. Ama PSS bonse, they are our people. Ama boards yambo kuchinja, fyonse yambo kuchinja. Awe bane. Ngabasansha momo nangubabiri. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. We have several here, so I'm going to see Fraser Ngosa. Amutishan.
Yes, Mulishani Mkwai.
Bueno.
Mkwai. Nifoba Fraser ku UK UPND UK chapter.
Moisen.
Yeah, tulifa wino mkwai.
Yeah, she did pano. Nari kaba. Turemo n'abantu n'abafulu ati yo umuntu. So nomba tulefo kukwatako ka conversation abantu beso kwe batala bane. Let us not turn against each other. Chengena tuwena nokuteka tuleteka. Tati tuleteka bangosa dimbi muta muleteka.
I mean, as a UPND, we are now in charge. We are in charge of our own destiny. And we have given the president the powers to appoint and also to fire those who do not suit his strategic needs. We should respect the presidential appointments. I do not think he appointed people without checking their background. Mwamba Pen, as I understand, he has been a member of the UPND for some years back, probably going back to 2019 or so, somewhere there. So my view is we do need to respect the president's appointment, yeah? And the vice president a few weeks ago made it clear that they will not appoint only from the UPND family, but they will appoint from the entire Zambian family, people with the potential and the experience.
But Fraser, here is the thing. The issue is, if you're kupela impression as if the appointments are very they are not balanced. This is a UPND government, and it's the UPND people that are being appointed. We need to acknowledge that. Even this gentleman we are talking about, as you have said, is UPND since 2019. Confusion yakukane kwebati yomkwayo yumuntu yupantu efu waposite mu 2016. So nabama sebo tuye mu 2016. Nabamwali teta tuye mu 2016. Nishi to be chaos, right? I agree.
In the bottom line,
are you there, Fraser?
I think Fraser managed to freeze.
It's the freeze. That's the freeze. Yeah. Dr. Tommy?
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, Doc.
Yeah, good evening. Taturemi Mwana, what's happening? You are not visible. Tamukete the video.
Oh.
Midnight.
Yeah, it's almost midnight. Yes, Patrick. Good evening to you too.
Good evening, my brother. How is Cameroon? How is Botswana?
Cameroon is fine. We are having showers. Yes, Vamusha, I've been following. You have put up very nice points. Very nice discussion actually is going on. I think if I were to throw in, do you have a specific question to ask or I just comment?
No, go ahead, comment.
Okay. Yeah, I think if I were to start, we would look at our culture as Zambia. We have to unlearn this culture of everyone being an authority. To even question the president's decision, you can only have one leader at a time. I think that culture is really going to mess us up. The culture of complaining and sometimes being too personal. I've seen this guy who is the subject of discussion. Before 12 August, he even posted some photos with the president. People did not complain. What they discussed, we don't know. So you can't just throw away anybody because he is PF, he is MMD. I think that is not fair. And it also actually discredits the president's judgment. So like you rightly said, sometimes UPND will be shooting themselves in the foot. Because the president has made an appointment, you are doubting his judgment. What does it say? This guy was there with the president taking photos before 12 August. No one complained. Why today? So when I went to social media and looked at the attack that is coming, it's too personal. It's too personal. So we need to be very tolerant and respect the president. Otherwise, we cannot have. I think we can't govern all of us. We might have good advice or good suggestions, but there's a captain at a time. And I, for one, I have not appreciated the negativity that has come out of UPND camp. I've not liked that. We have to embrace the team that is being assembled. And like you rightly say, we hosted Mali Teta yesterday. This is the guy who almost broke Galinkombo's hand in Livingstone. We know that. But today, they are together. We don't have permanent enemies in politics. You might not like someone's personality as a person, maybe crossing through different paths. But when it comes to looking at how UPND came into power, we are not saying 10 people voted. 2.8 million put a vote. And within that, a lot of people played different roles. Only President HH knows what Mamba is bringing to the table, and a few others who sat around the table. So we can only speculate, but I do believe and have firm belief that the president has done good research. He's a person who, when he makes a decision, does not even have room to go back and reverse that, because he does thoroughly check before he can put his signature to it. So this wind will be there for a while. It will die down with time. Sometimes these guys are just persecuted because their names are associated with former presidents. They are saying this is the grandson of Michael Sata. So they feel State House.
And sorry, Dr. Tommy,
yes.
Is there any independent verification that he's a grandson of President Sata?
No, I've just seen it speculated in social media. I don't have evidence to that.
Mwelwa, do you know whether the gentleman is Michael Sata's grandson? Welcome to TVBAKWETU. No, yeah. And
no, I don't. Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen that posted, but because sometimes people create relationships that actually don't exist. Sometimes they are strenuous relationships, so I really don't know. But even if he were a grandson, what does my grandfather have? How do they affect my political leanings? Really, my grandfather. So it's a little tough to just disqualify a person on the basis that he's a grandson of Michael Sata.
And if you look at the comments that came on Chipo Mwanawasa, they're almost the same comments that are coming up now. So this culture is really what I don't appreciate about Zambia. It's too much name dropping. It's just too much. Character assassination.
Yeah, no, character assassination is, of course, a concern. The issue is that when you look at the evidence, before us, what people are concerned about is not actually supported by the evidence. What is the evidence? The appointments that have been done in the New Dawn have been quite UPND, thoroughly. Like each person that you pick, you are going to see UPND connections. But you can't just appoint absolutely everybody UPND. You've got to have a few more people that are coming from a different persuasion to balance it up. And I think that has been done in this instance, in my opinion. And so our people are okay. They are okay to voice out their concerns. Our duty is to sit down with them, reason together, and explain. That's why TVBAKWETU is here, to try and reason together and say, quite all right, you are concerned, you are complaining, but let's sit down. Is what we are actually hearing reality or not? You know? Because Zambians must complain. If something is not right, Zambians have the right to complain. But if something is not born out of reality, then it is our duty to try and reason together with our people. And I think that's what TVBAKWETU is there for. What do you think, Dr. Hamaluba?
I agree with you 100%, Doc.
Yeah.
And this is what actually we are trying to do now. Calm down the people,
Yeah.
and let them give chance for the president to work. He's actually assured the nation that he means well. And if someone is brought forward, please, that personal hatred, name dropping, should not be put across. It's better to, like you say, complain genuinely, not just because someone was not a foot soldier visibly seen in UPND, then he's not supposed to get a post. No, running a country, you are president of all Zambians.
Yeah.
That's
Dr. Hamaluba, the thing is, yes, I think foot soldiers must be recognized, and I think they some have been recognized.
Some, yeah, I agree with you. Some have been, but others,
and the process has just started, right? Because there was this, this initially, but now it's all falling into place. And of course, even with regard to General Chipakupaku, Mr. Norman Chipakupaku, a very, very hardworking foot soldier who is very passionate about our country, thoroughly qualified to serve in our government, and there he is serving our country. And so I think that is what we need to see. And those are the stories we need to magnify, that these are foot soldiers. Mr. Norman Chipakupaku is not this elitist guy, right? He is there in the trenches of the diaspora, in the trenches of Zambia. You know, when we had all those programs, he was talking about what was happening in Chipata, happening on the ground, and motivating the troops as they were. And so perhaps those are the stories we need to magnify, and not necessarily just say that the president is free to just appoint anyone, including those that were not foot soldiers, right?
Yeah, by foot soldiers, like I meant the cadres sometimes who feel they have the right first before anybody else. That is not the right narrative. That's not the right narrative. They'll say, as cadres are suffering, I've seen someone posting, as cadres are suffering, we were beaten, we were done what? And then someone comes from nowhere and picks it. Then I was like, no. There's a way you can take care of even party members, the way Mazoka believed. There's a way you take care of party cadres there to keep the party going. And like you rightly say, we are just in the, we have not even gone 50% of the appointments that are coming.
No.
Still very, very initial stage.
Yeah.
So let's change the economy first, and a lot of people are going to benefit.
Yeah. Okay, so I do get your nuance, Dr. Hamaluba, but yeah, thank you for that contribution, and we'll keep the conversation going. Samuel Roberts.
Yes, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, I would also like to agree actually with Dr. Hamaluba, because I think I feel with UPND cadres and all, there's a sense of entitlement that everybody feels. Yes, okay, because maybe we suffered for the party, we got beaten and all that. But I think the president has a duty to appoint competent people, right? He can't just appoint anybody out of nowhere.
You know what, Samuel?
Mm.
Here is my concern. My concern is, in actual fact, cadres are being recognized.
Yes, they are.
That's how I think. I think the appointments that are coming from the rank and file of the UPND and some leaders within the UPND. At least that's what I'm seeing. I don't know whether you can tell me that it's not coming from there.
No,
And
actually,
let's look at the ZESCO board. They're UPND cadres.
Yeah.
Which other board has been created? Now, the idea that cadre means uneducated, unqualified, incompetent, that is what we need to remove, right? Because it's as if once the president appoints you, then you are not a cadre, which is just not correct. So how do we cleanse the language so that we stop referring to cadres and the competent as if these are exclusive groups of people?
Okay, yeah. Actually, I think for me, we need to understand first what exactly a cadre means. I think a cadre, in Zambia, we've reduced the term cadre to like all these street thugs, people found in the bus station, when in fact that's not what a cadre should be. A cadre is a supporter of the party, of the whichever political party, whether educated or not educated. So we first need to distinguish that term cadre, and then we can now start looking at the positions that are being given to these cadres in brackets. So the thing I wanted to say, to agree with Dr. Hamalova, is that I think the president, first of all, we should trust his judgment. We can't criticize him based on the appointments he's making, because obviously there's a lot of vetting that is done before anybody's appointed, right? I feel. So all those people who are in those positions are there because they deserve to be in those positions, whether they seem like they just joined the party recently or in the past. The president feels those people will be able to serve his government to the best of their ability. So it doesn't really matter whether they joined recently or in the past. And the practical example of that guy, is it Mwamba Penny you were talking about earlier? Yes, he may have said certain things about, because you know how politics is, first of all. We need to understand that with politics, people do certain things, people say certain things. I mean, we can give an example of Shemba Kambwili, who was part of the alliance with the UPND. Kambwili said bad things about the president way before he joined that alliance. But look at them, they were sitting on the same table at some point. But as politics would have it, he decided to leave and went back to his old ways of saying all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should think. I think what we should be doing now is asking the president to make our economy better, so that everybody, including all those cadres, can have better opportunities for them to be able to participate in the development of the country through business and things like that. I think once the economy is better, everybody will be involved. Everybody will have the chance to have some equal access to a better life. So in terms of cadres, I don't think the president has done anything wrong on that aspect. So we should trust his appointments, and I think there are more appointments still coming. There's foreign service, there's other. So people should just be patient.
And I think of course UPND cadres deserve to govern. I think they are being appointed. It's not everyone yet, but of course, and there are issues, right, within the party, and those are to be expected. You can try to cleanse and reason with the party about the manner in which some of the appointments are being done, but they are UPND, something that we wanted. here we advocated for the UPND to rise up and govern this nation, and I think the UPND is governing this nation. The PSs, almost all of them, are from the UPND cadre thing. So I think I wouldn't have any issues there myself. I think the one that has really set people off was this new appointment, which I think, even if it were true that it was an appointment that is opposed in the middle of all these UPND operatives that have been appointed, it shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah, but like, this is not to say that then he was not a UPND cadre. I think he was. He became a UPND member, and I think there is more better things to focus on.
And actually, I think with all these people who are opposing, I don't think they have the right to oppose anything. Because first of all, the president was not elected by UPND members alone, right? He was elected by the people of Zambia. And these people of Zambia trust the president to make appointments that are not partisan, first of all. Yes, there's nothing wrong with making, appointing people from the UPND.
No, they should be partisan. Samuel Roberts.
No, wait. Yes, but then again, we also need professionals. We can't just be appointing people because these are.
Here is the issue, Roberts. You are the impression you are giving is that being partisan is being unprofessional. When in fact, that can be professional.
That is not what I'm trying to say. Yes, I agree with you on that aspect. Partisan can be professional and unprofessional. So the thing here, the point is, the president does not have to explain to anybody on the appointments thing he makes, because he has the mandate, first of all.
Yeah.
And as the president, as the head of states, who has been given the mandate from the 18 million plus or whatever, how many people voted? 7 million voters. They trust him that the appointments he's making are to the betterment of our country.
Of our country, right.
Yes. So nobody should feel like, because obviously the president wants to succeed, right? So he won't appoint people who are going to make him fail. That's the thing.
Thank you.
So
thank you, Samuel.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, Samuel. Mwelwa, there is an additional dimension to this. It is the demonization of people that are perceived to be close to the president. Because there is another dimension where people are saying it's like the latest thing we've read on this one of these pages. It's Mwananyanda who is making all this. It's that they started with Kalabo, they went to this and this, and then now they went to Mwananyanda. They attacked me at one point, and so they and these are fake pages. They're not genuine. And so that is creating a lot of misinformation. What do you think about that, Mwelo? How do we resolve this?
I think it's a poor political culture, or a bad political culture. We have a very bad political culture, I personally feel. And the unfortunate thing with this bad political culture is that it breeds a lot of negatives. So in the last administration, we had the breeding of thugs coming on, and my elders would tell me this was just a rebirth of the UNIP days, where thuggery was the style of the political cadre. Okay, it sort of died down when we came in with the Chiluba administration, and unfortunately, within the Chiluba administration, we had more of the corrupt cadre. So there's a hype of, so it's a poor political culture that we have, and all these dimensions are just being born out of this poor political culture that we I don't know whether we are just prone to birthing them, or it's the inadequacies in the parties, unfortunately, that are very nice, they're proper ground for breeding of such types of cadres. I mean, the type of cadre that is now online, because in this new administration, to free ourselves from there, we had created this environment where the cadre was online.
Guerrilla journalism.
So the cadre is still, yes. So the cadre has just evolved. So we are now slightly evolving from that keyboard warrior for the UPND, pro-UPND or pro-PF, and we now have the propaganda kind of, I'm thinking this is a propaganda type of thing, because obviously the UPND need to be painted bad at every opportunity you could, and the PF need to be painted equally good or bad. So it's a poor political culture, and I think cadarism that is not genuine, especially towards the. I know I'm not very popular about this, but I think that, you know, a genuine cadre is not going to demand a position. What were you fighting for? So every time I hear cadres say "Twalelwa, twalelwa," I'm asking them, looking at them, thinking, you know, were you forced to go and start fighting, or, you know, to become a foot soldier? Nobody forced you. So if you were a genuine cadre wanting a change for the nation, why do you want to be paid? Because you've done the change. Essentially, now we've done the job that we needed to do, and the government that we are hoping would do the right thing is now in government. Do I necessarily need a position from the administration? I don't think so. So I think it's an ungenuineness. People were into cadarism for personal gain and not for the national interest. So unfortunately, I think that, and equally, it's a poor political culture again, when I think the UPND were not prepared. So there was no shadow government. Okay, if there was a shadow government, people would have been quickly, you know, appointed. And I know he's taking his time. And then, unfortunately, I think there was equally too many people joining in at some point. So I think that sort of even disrupted whatever shadow government existed, because now he has to accommodate the people that were helping or were changing their minds and joining the UPND. But ultimately, I think for Mr. Mwambapeni, you know, we need to take responsibility for our actions. This is the other thing. And again, it's a poor cadarism culture, where you think because you are ruling or because you are in this political party, you can badmouth this party. So Mr. Mwambapeni is just paying for his actions. He was speaking at a time where the PF probably were not particularly popular, and now he joins the party, changes his mind. It's okay to change your mind politically, but you still are responsible for the actions and you know, the choices that you make. So unfortunately for him, he's paying for that.
No, just to be clear, most of the postings are actually around 2016. They are not like recent. So they're not like before the election. They are the 2016 ones when there was that vitriol of Michael Sata and Edgar Lungu and stuff like that. So those are the captions that are being posted. But you still feel like he needed to take more responsibility over it, perhaps apologize?
I think we all need to take responsibility for what we say and what we do in a political environment. And I think Zambia is highly political, and you know, so unfortunately you forget that there's the opportunity or the chances that you could change your mind tomorrow. Because I mean, 2016, Mr. Mwambapeni was old enough to realize that Doris Leah had come from this party into that party, that Mrs. Nkandulo had moved from this political party. So the chances are you will change your mind if things go off. So you've got to be very careful how you say things, what you put onto social media, because it will come back and bite you. And that's what he's just paying for his.
So you mean
if we don't do what is right, if we don't do what is right as an administration, like pro UPND, behind us. That's just the will of the world.
You mean Bakerenga kutuba werera po?
No, not that they'll come back in. But I think when No. I think if a new administration were to come in, okay, and you change your ideologies or your views and you join the new party, but waliwa tukire before they got in, it's either you handle the issue well, and I feel like Mwambapeni is very social media savvy, and he's just let this. I think he's a bit scared, knowing it's a new position. But this should have been handled quite professionally, because he is a professional person. He could have actually rubbished this and said, you know what, I changed my mind, my ideologies have changed, or have joined this political party. But he has left it so open, people are assuming maybe it's an appeasement, appointment, or it is a keep your enemies closer type of appointment. There's so many things that he's left open. So I think that's why people are attacking him. And
okay. TVBAKWETU here, a discussion, very late discussion on the recent appointments and all stuff that is going on. Now we have Ndiku, youth advocate. How are you doing? You've muted yourself. You've muted yourself.
Good evening, Dr. Munsha, and good evening, fellow panelists and the rest of Zambia and the world.
Good evening.
Yeah. For me, I think there are a lot of aspects to how eventually a person comes out to defend their beliefs. There are some of us, okay, who do not fear to express our beliefs and where we stand amidst forces that really threaten our rights, like the previous government, of course. And so him having worked with the previous government and having changed his ideology somewhere along the way, perhaps he had to be careful with how he operated, and so there are a number of factors that may stop someone from publicly changing their opinion, because others just go into this quiet mode where they just zone out of social media with regards expressing their opinion when it has changed, okay, for fear of where they are or where they've been, and so it might have been the case with Mr. Penny, and there were a lot of people that contributed to this change that we've seen and that we are enjoying, and a lot, I think, we didn't see what they were doing. Okay, there were some that worked in the background, there were some that worked in the forefront of the battlefield, and so it would be unfair to really demonize these people despite their backgrounds, of course, and their different ideologies back then. But I think it would be unfair to really demonize them, but rather let's give them time. I know there's a lot of screening going on with these appointments. Okay, and as Zambians, we are seated at home and we're seeing these things, we're seeing these appointments, we are reacting. But I think there's a lot of due diligence being done in the background, and we should have faith in our president and in the system, because at the end of the day, it's not really a complete team yet. Okay, it's not a complete team yet. So I think let's give time to the president, and all will be okay. All will be okay. I believe if people are to be rewarded for the work they did, then let it be so. That's a good thing. And at the end of the day, he must work with the people he's been working with. Okay, but he must work with the people that he suffered with. Okay, and people suffered in different ways. People sacrificed in different ways, and yes, they should be rewarded.
Right.
Yeah.
But of course, if we just went by the comments that people have made in the past against President Hakainde Hichilema, half of the cabinet will be disqualified. Nearly half of Zambia will be disqualified. So half of the voters will be disqualified. So it's not just about what somebody said; it's about their present views. It's a complex issue, but for me, we can't let that cloud our judgment as to whether this is a UPND government. From what we have seen, it's a UPND government. A few weeks ago, no, because it still had elements of the Patriotic Front, but now it's fully UPND. So we can't doubt the UPND-ness of this government, in my opinion. Yeah. But how do we fight against fake news that is being spread? Malicious news against very innocent people. Those close to the president, advisors, no, this is a demon, this is a person who killed that, and that's pretty bad. Hilma.
Can I pick it up, Doc?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, that's been my worry, because even there are a lot of media pages online that keep spreading this propaganda and destroying our nation. And we have the youth population on social media, and you can imagine the damage that this is creating to the youth, and taking this as gospel truth, and receiving all this bad propaganda, which they can't really screen and differentiate on what is right and what is wrong. At the end of the day, even the journalism in Zambia today is all mulomo. Okay, it's all mulomo, because you'd find that somebody is interviewing a person and they're saying, oh, so and so said this, what is your reaction? So and so said this, what is your reaction? When people should be dealing with facts, a reporter must be asking questions based on facts, either it's facts from the courts or facts from the judgment of a particular case in court. And that is how it should be. But even our reporters and journalists, it's omolomo. So now you can imagine we have that gap from the professionals that we expect to give us cooked information. We have that gap, and then it's being filled by a number of unprofessional journalists who have created pages to spread propaganda. And it's really damaging our society. It's really damaging us, because we have this gap that has been filled in by propaganda. So our media, I think, really need to up their game and need to change the status quo.
But here is the issue, Tiki. This is not regular news websites. These are not regular journalists. Anybody can go and make a page on Facebook and call it anything news and begin posting lies and malicious articles. And I think there is this thing in our ears that tickles us when we see lies and umulomo. You can go to a page, somebody just begins bad-mouthing someone. This one is responsible for this. This one is responsible for this. And there are people who are commenting and agreeing. And you're like, isn't there any critical thinking here? Mm-hmm. You don't even know the person who is posting, guerrilla journalism that the UPND and some of the people practiced during the PF regime, they were known. So in guerrilla journalism, you know the people who are posting. It's just that you can't get them. That's what guerrilla journalism is. But now, any person can just go create a page and begin all these malicious things. Na PDF moyu, alich toyu, uyu now they go out together, uyu shat. And people are not even critical about what is this information about. Nothing like that. It's pretty sad. Nicholas Mutalama is saying, imagine the president appointing Mr. Tayali. Now, the president cannot appoint Mr. Tayali. We need to be very clear about that. President is not going to appoint Mr. Tayali. So we are not going to even begin debating, because sometimes we begin extending our debates to very improbable situations. Instead of dealing with this, probabilities. I think if the president appointed Tayali, even Samuel Roberts could have sana.
Of course, I think everybody, the whole nation would be mad. Because, just to add on what you were talking about, the propaganda that's going on, I think it can also be attributed to the fact that the UPND government has liberated the media. They've brought back that sense of freeness, like anybody can now say anything. So it's like people are now gathering that confidence that they lost under the PF government, where whatever you say or post can be used against you, you can get arrested. So people now feel like they can say whatever they want and get away with it. So I think that's why we're seeing so much propaganda being spread. I mean, think the other day we saw somebody posting that the president was going to go to parliaments to answer questions. Like, how does that happen in this country? It's not even in the constitution.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, anybody can just wake up now and post anything. So, I think, I don't know whether we should go back to the way it was before, where the freedom of speech wasn't really guaranteed, just for us to.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's the only way at this point. Because look at people like Sean Tembo, for example. He's gone all out now. He feels like he can say anything against the president, and it's a good thing the president, of course, doesn't pay attention to him. Otherwise, if it was in some past governments, I think that man would have been arrested by now. But
I think if you're an opposition leader and you're trying to get a head start, you do what Sean Tembo has been doing, really. Our only objection has been that he has said very tribalist things. You know,
yeah.
And if a person wants to be petty, like Kateka taking a picture, Isuma sana. Ero mbaya mukumushoba Kateka by Sean Tembo ati na alipikirepo ka comment nomba nari kachita delete wangu pantu ine I'm a preacher nshifiro kola pantu anyway wakamwene. I think Mwelwa didn't see it, and I'm very happy that Mwelwa didn't see that comment.
I think I did.
Mamusha did.
Yeah, Nasevana. So those are the comments, and I think you have the right to really mock a president, in my opinion. The only issue with Mr. Zero is the tribalism. I think that is not. We are not going to tolerate that tribalism of using language that is very, very tribalistic, such as ingombe, cows, and stuff like that. We all know that that's a slur that is being used against our southern relatives and citizens. So that is where Mr. Sean Zero gets all the zeros from. But if you have to criticize a government and be on its throat, you start early. And I think Sean Zero did it. That's why he's setting the agenda in some of the cases.
But I highly doubt. But I highly doubt that he's doing himself a favor. Actually, I think he's just annoying more people because you know how much support UPND has at this point. Like people still have goodwill towards it. So that thing is just making him more unpopular. Of course, he thinks he's gaining mileage by the amount of comments he gets on his posts or the attention his posts receive. But in actual fact, people are not taking him seriously anymore. They just think this is some bitter soul who's upset that for whatever reason or another, he made the wrong political move by leaving the alliance and only for the UPND to win the elections, and he ended up in the abyss of whatever it is. So I think it's more frustration from him than checks and balances. But
so Vili Stalinawa, thank you, Samuel. Vili Stalinawa is saying 2 hours of justifying Mwamba's appointment. I don't even know whether we are justifying the appointment. I think from my perspective, all I'm doing is let's try to reason and see that what we are perceiving to be a huge issue is not actually a huge issue. That's all I'm trying to do. Anyway, now what we want is to see Mr. Mubita now and Dr. Elias Musha to be in government. Katwish, mulemfwa ya mubuteko na Mubita na wine. How do you even answer such a question? Himba, how do you answer such a question by Christabel Pala that valefwa ya Mubita nawa and Elias Musha mubuteko?
I think inenshile blame abamusha. Ngatwatambo okulanda ibyashya kusalula nama appointment leken first ba UPND basalule na tulanda ati balya abalebo mbama watermelon, we appreciate them, but as much as we can say anything but lekeni ukusalula tutampilepo ba UPND nga bamubitani ba UPND awo lekeni basalule nabo nga bamunshani ba UPND elo bale supporta echecha awo lekeni tusalule mwe bantu nisalula time ba PF bali salula
nomba kuingirira mlondo wa kusalula. You know, government doesn't pay very well. Vamwerwa mwarishi vati mubutekwa ati vaforo tureza.
Yes, I do. Sadly,
So number,
I think the reality.
So number
again, I think it still goes back to
follow tureza. Vishe does Bakrista do palata have the my best interest at heart?
Awe bamusho ukuba mu government n'okuba ku bukada bo balera ndati bukada abantu ukushifolera pona ngukano ono n'okufola potu nono nikise ekisomo bantu apa bukada takuba okufola nangu chimu.
How bahimba just hold on. Bakrista be balera ndati ine mfuiro okujoin obuteko eno nomba njipuishe question bamwero kwa bati tadia mu buteko mwabo tureza nomba Bakrista be does not have the best interest of me, but whatever I think, is there any other reason why I should be in government?
She's not looking at
uncertainty.
Huh?
She's not looking at
uncertainty.
Uncertainty. No,
she's not even looking at your salary. She's looking at the heart to serve the interest of the people of Zambia. This is not about salary we are talking about here. It's people
it's about serving the people.
Will. Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe just to add on to what Vahimba has said, the people that speak for the voiceless have a following. Okay, and it is these people that look up to you, Doc, look up to people like Movita Nawa, and some of these votes were influenced by these people, by these names that have been presented, even by yourself, Doc. Okay, so people voted based on the message you as an individual may have shared, whether it's on the bus, whether it's online. So people have changed their mindset rather based on the message you presented as an individual, and that is the impact you have on such citizens, and they are looking up to you and hoping to see you govern because they know that once you are there, the country is in safe hands. So it is the impact that you have on the many Zambians, on the many of us actually.
But you see, I think I have a problem with that thinking, Miss. I think advocate, because I think if you want to be in politics, it's supposed to be for the betterment of the people, not your influence. Your influence has a problem, and this is where I'll point to Mr. Movita now a little. I think Movita now sometimes gets a little excited. Now, I can imagine already he had several of those little Tuvilima episodes, even before the UPND got into government, where he had posted something. On several occasions, he would say certain things or he would post something. Now, you can imagine this is your employer, your potential employer, seeing you behave a certain way even before you get in. So now you're asking yourself, is this man working, or is his efforts towards betterment of the nation, or is it self? So I think influence should not influence should not be equal to you should get a position in government, because you can influence people, but you might not be able to be a leader. There are so many people who have influenced people, but they were not leaders.
No, but Moirwa, that sounds too complicated. I know. Sometimes I'm slow in understanding things, but that sounds a little bit complicated. The reason is, in my opinion, I think Movita Nawa is one of the most influential, one of the influential characters within the party. And he continues to serve the UPND as the presidential assistant special duties for the UPND. So it's not like he's not serving the UPND. He is still serving the UPND. And so I do agree that he's not currently in government. But if a person is good for the party, I don't see why they cannot be good to serve the government. And so I do sympathize with those people who believe that he can serve the government. And I hope when that opportunity presents itself, Mr. Mubitanawa will be able to serve our people. Okubirima kwena mwandi ababirima bengi mwe ngana pichamo penso ndeso ntatu yali birima no yali birima ao kwena bengi na kuve pa Facebook pa bengi.
Just to add on, Vamunsha, just to add on Mubitanawa. I'm not going to justify why he's not in government, but I just want to add a voice over Mubitanawa. Mubitanawa has an influence over young people in Zambia and even in the party. But on the aspect of Muntu Kuvirima and their other personality, at the Pero Akapoto, Pero responsibility, I think I stand to disagree a little bit. You know, Tonton Kanyakwandi, there's a room for the senior leaders to mentor the junior leaders. Pano bunga bambika position pano. Kwali babali abakulu abafire n'okunje bati monaimba, even the dressing if you fuere tefe tufwala in a public office. Ishimshishisha red na blue tefe tuchtefi. There should be people to mentor you, you know. So even Mubitanawa, if he's given a position, I'm sure it's also our senior leaders to mentor such people and try to make them responsible. If we see that a person has a caliber, to serve people, let's give them the opportunity while we mentor them and train them. Kwali baba mwaba abashilanda n'ekisungu abashasambira batinga mwaisa mubika so mwamubumba they end up to be good leaders, but they need support, they need to be mentored. And I'm sure that he can make a good leader as well.
When around last year, we had concerns that the UPND as a party was appearing that it was a closed shop. For those of us who have followed us before, we even rebranded as TVBAKWETU. And we came out in the open and advised them to say, Imwe, UPND, you are a very, very great force to reckon with. A force to reckon with. You are a force to reckon with, but you appear a little closed up. Open it up a little bit. And shortly after that, Mubitanawa and even Anthony, for a very long time, if you can remember, Anthony had no formal position in the UPND for about 4 or 5 years. Anthony what? So we came on our live and we say, no, this is not sending good signals to a would-be voter. Visible people like Mubitanawa just joined the UPND at that time. And then Anton they are hanging in the air. Nobody do something. And a few weeks later, we just heard that they were given positions because utupoto are very important. Utupoto, very, very important. So abantu kuba pero utupoto wangu uyakapoto. Even here on TVBAKWETU. Tupoto. Utupoto tukankala. Same o Robert Zaleseka. Vamwero, mleseka, tamulefanya kapoto.
I think within context, I think Kwafio Tupoto is a bit dangerous, which is what has been happening for a long time. People are just giving Tupoto because we think because Vali Tefi, so they deserve it. But are they up for the job? Because you can deserve something, but in the right context, you know. I'll take you to the Bible where there's the I think this is the parable of the man. I'm trying to remember it correctly, where this man is employing different employees at different times of the day, and he pays them all the same amount.
The parable of the talent.
Yes, the talent, yes. Yeah, and he pays them the same pay, even though you know, it's that kind of thing. And sometimes it's a tough one to swallow, I suppose, especially as Africans. So now when Bale Fela, those who will cry and those who will be happy are all mismatched.
But then I think it would be a little harsh for people that may be expecting positions or jobs, because we have, for example, those that were in the forefront. Some people lost properties. Okay, some people lost their livelihoods. People lost jobs. Okay, people were retired in national interest. Okay, we have various examples. We have Dr. Deni Kalealia. We have Shapa Wakunguma. Okay, and there are many others who lost their livelihoods, who lost financially, and the struggle for a better Zambia was their only hope. Okay, and thank God, the president, true to his words, has reinstated some of those that were retired in national interest, that were dismissed unfairly, and we hope more can be returned back to the system, even those that were dismissed on tribal lines. Okay, so I think let's not be too harsh on people that may be expectant of positions and jobs, because at the end of the day, they fought for the struggle. Okay, they fought for the struggle, and for those that qualify, the president has been employing. Okay, for those without qualifications, there is still something for everybody, especially with the increase in CDF. That means more money for the constituency. Okay, and people should be able to come together as communities to make sure that financially the community is sustained and everybody is able to benefit.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Womkelabai, you are the only one who has not spoken here, and we were saving the best for last. Everyone is blessed.
Okay. Mwansungira Palestine. Anyway, are you able to hear me? I have a new device. If at all you can hear me, please put your thumbs up so I can continue as well. Thank you. You have spoken, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much. Good evening, my fellow Zambians and those in the diaspora. Of course, you're still Zambians, even when you have dual citizenship. That does not exonerate you from being a Zambian. We are Zambians, and we love our country, and whoever is being appointed by the government, by the head of state, for example, we should not come in and start crying foul. He has already told us he is the man that is going to make investigations before he gives anybody a position in government. And he has done his thorough investigations, and there's nothing like all these seats, all these positions should only be given to UPND people, UPND affiliated. Even those in the former regime, those that were doing the right thing, unfortunately, they were under a wrong leadership. But you could see that they were result-oriented. They had a heart for their Zambian people. Why not? If at all they have the experience and they have the capacity, they still can provide leadership. Why not? Why can't somebody appoint them? So it is inevitable, yes. We know that people would cry foul. Government, and we're considering what you are doing or what you're having now. But in Zambia, you know, people can fight over kapot, even when the salary is too thin. But in the private sector, he makes about 30,000. But they want recognition, they want opportunity. And this tendency, this is what I want to say, that it should actually be erased from the Zambian mindset, that the moment you are ushered into a government institution, then that is it. Wa muchilozi tulanda tikero upunyali kishifamba at wa tula echinyao pamala, and meaning waingira nomba in a paradise, because everything you need to do will come to pass and give fruitful whatever. They are coming into government, fighting for positions because some of people want to come and gain something so that they have control and become rich. You see what happened in the previous regime. Kaponya wa street, Katondo street. Aisa ingira mu government, bampera kwa kapoto. Today, look at the amount of properties these chaps possesses. They had no heart for the Zambian people. They went there to just push their own agenda to Fumotuao. So I appreciate what the appointment that the president is making today. We should just rally behind him. And those who are not being given position, please hold your role. This is very careful government or president who is very categorical, as he has put it. He is saving probably best for last, like you have saved me for you. So anyway, just hold on, hold your role. Your positions, you will come and participate in the governance of our people. And we should just give a thumbs up to Hakainde Chirema and his government for what they are doing right now. And one of our own gentlemen, our own Chipaku Pako, he is now a permanent secretary. Is that not wonderful? Come on, guys. Let's just hold on to our seat and enjoy this ride, because this government has brought something that the previous government can never reach in 1,000 years. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkelevai. We are just going to now close and wind down. So thank you to our viewers, to the panelists, and all those who sent in comments. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and have a good night or good morning wherever you are in the world.
Thank you.